Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video, we'll be getting up to date with the Stormcast Battletome and these awesome new dragons coming really soon to Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Last week there's a few articles on the Warhammer community site for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, so I put them all together and I thought it'd be cool to do a little update so we can catch up on everything we can expect to see for the new Stormcast Eternals Battletome. We're going to be able to pre-order it soon, and it's going to give us loads of ways to kind of use our collection, and this includes building all dragon armies, or certainly putting some fierce dragons in with our Stormcast Eternal fighters. So let's get cracking, and we'll work our way through the articles, making sure we catch up with all the new information that's been released so far. So we got our first glimpse of the Stormcast Eternals Battletome here, and there's going to be 76 new or updated war scrolls, and it tells us in one of the articles last week that this book is going to be all about thematic battalion structures, and it unlocks units as battle line choices. So this sounds really great, and let's read on and find out more, because it's the dragons I was really interested in finding out about. In our games now, we're going to be able to include these huge dragons, Crondis or Karazhan, but we can also put some dragon-mounted Stormcast Eternals alongside them amongst an army of Stormcast fighters, or we can just go full-on dragon and just have a complete dragon army, which sounds awesome, and I think that would be amazing. It tells us we can take this a step further by choosing the Hammers of Sigmar Stormhost, and this makes all four types of the Dracothian Guard battle line units, letting you pick the right weapons for the right job at hand and adding a whole lot of draconic fury to one army. So this sounds really cool. But if dragons aren't your thing, then you're going to get a ton of other options, and it tells us that there's going to be a huge amount of units available, from heavy hitters to smaller units of paladins, and this is going to give us some different abilities that we can use for them. And so if you go for the Knights Excelsior Stormhost, then you can take elite Annihilators, Decimators, Protectors and Retributors as battle line units, and they're going to be able to be kind of like almost like a tank unit, taking loads of punishment from the enemy, and you're going to get an extra boost to hit and wound rolls with them. So this sounds really cool. But here's one of the abilities here that comes with the Knights Excelsior Stormhost. This is called Storm of Annihilation, and it says that none are as totalitarian in delivering judgment as the Knights Excelsior. And once per turn, at the start of the combat phase, you can pick one friendly Knights Excelsior Paladin unit on the battlefield. Until the end of that phase, when you pick that unit to fight, pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of that unit. If the number of models in that enemy unit is greater than the number of models in that Paladin unit, then add 1 to your hit and wound rolls for attacks made by that Paladin unit that target that enemy unit until the end of that phase. And if Storm of Annihilation doesn't sound like your thing, then you can really start to focus on kind of hunting these massive beasts and monsters. And as we're seeing a lot more of those in this new version, a new edition of Age of Sigmar, I think this will be a fun way to go. And this is kind of drawing me in. I really like the idea of these Astral Templars, and they've got this Beast Stalker ability. And so with this, the Astral Templars are experienced hunters of the most horrific creatures the mortal realms have to offer. Friendly Astral Templars units cannot be picked when your opponent carries out a monstrous rampage. So I like the idea of that. I guess they're used to these monsters and their behaviour. They can move out the way, and they can evade these big attacks. So this kind of plays into that narrative for them. So having these two Vanguard Paladors and Vanguard Hunters as battle line units is going to give you some nice tactics. They suggest that you can soften them up from a range, attacking from a distance, and then charge in with your more mobile units and to get stuck into that monster at close range. And then including Endrasta, the Celestial Spear that we saw in the Dominion box set, then you're going to really have a powerful little army and some really nice tactics there. So all this is sounding really great. Just a few snippets here from the new Battletome that we could expect. But yeah, I'm really liking the sound of this so far. So we haven't had a date yet for when this new Battletome is going to be released, but it's got to be really soon. And they're even like doing articles for the Battletome for the new Auric War clans, and I'll be doing a video on that today as well. But I think if we just keep checking in on the Warhammer community site, I'll do a video as soon as it comes up so we know exactly what to expect and when it gets there. But in the meantime, we can start preparing, building our armies. If you've picked up the Dominion box set already, then you know how awesome that is. You've got some really nice miniatures for both the Stormcast and the Cruel Boys, but there's some nice starter sets available now as well. And I've done a video on that if you want to check that out, which just goes over what you get in each of those starter sets, and hopefully that'll help you decide which one's best for you. So that covers the little update they did for the Battletome, but we also got to find out more about these awesome dragons and the Dragon Riders as some of their abilities that we can use with our Stormcast army as well. So let's have a look at those next. So I'm really excited about these dragons, both the two Karazhan and Crondis, but also the Dragon Riders. But it's the kind of narrative and the way we're going to play each dragon that I really am interested in. And so it tells us that each of these two dragons is going to fight according to their personality. And so Karazhan is going to get stuck in with jaws and claws, really interested in like vengeance, while Crondis is more measured, preferring to control the battlefield and shut down the enemy wizards. So I really like this idea of having these two different personalities within the dragon. So I really like that. I think I prefer these to the Dragon Riders for sure. So I'll be getting these first and then thinking about whether to get the Dragon Riders after that or not. But yeah, so I'll wait and see on that one. But I'm definitely going to get one or two of these dragons for sure. And it also tells us in the article they're going to be really powerful, as we would expect from such a huge beast. But if you fight them together, then you're going to have range abilities and close quarter abilities, and you're also going to get some magic included with that too, which just sounds brilliant. So let's find out a little bit more about the abilities we can use with these two awesome beasts. Okay, so the first one is Blazing Tempest, and this one has got a nice range of 18 inches, and it's got one attack, but then for the hit, wound, rend and damage, it just tells us to see below. So the greatest Draconic Lords can unleash vortexes of scouring flame that disintegrate any within the blast radius. And with this, do not use the attack sequence for an attack made with a Blazing Tempest. Instead, roll a dice. On a 1 to 2, the target suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 3 to 4, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds. And on a 5 to 6, the target suffers D6 mortal wounds. So I like this. I think with the kind of flame weapons in any game, this is kind of a fun way of doing it, where you roll the dice and then the target takes that many wounds automatically, as they would with kind of fire coursing across the battlefield. So I'm liking this one, and this is a really nice start. But let's move on now and look at Crondis and see what kind of magic spells we can use with him. So Crondis really appeals to me more out of the two of them. I love the idea that he's got magic spells, he's powerful, he's got range attacks. He's also going to be pretty strong, I imagine, up close. And it's also a great looking model, wearing all these little pieces of armour. It just looks so good. But he's got this special spell that's unique to him, and it's called Atavistic Tempest. And with this, wielding the power of Azir alongside the lost magics of the Draconic Empire, Crondis barrages the enemy with elemental storms, one moment unleashing blinding gales or squalls that crackle with lightning, the next overwhelming the foe with hail the size of meteors or snowstorms that chill to the bone. Atavistic Tempest is a spell that has a casting value of 9 and a range of 24 inches, so a huge range here. Especially if you're playing like a small battle, this is on a small battlefield, this is going to get right across it and right into the enemy. So if successfully cast, you pick one enemy unit within range, and it's got to be visible to the caster, and then you pick one of the effects that we can see below. That effect lasts until your next hero phase. So we've got 4 different effects here. The first is Blinding Gales. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. We've also got Meteor Hail. Worsen the rend characteristic of weapons used by that unit by 1 to a minimum of minus, so or not applicable. Lightning Vortex. Subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic of missile weapons used by that unit to a minimum of 1. And then Flash Freezing Blizzard, where we subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target that unit. So this is all about really eating away at your enemy, taking away their ability to withstand the punishment. So really interesting, and I like how we've got 4 little options here, and we can build that into the narrative of the game as well, for sure. So I'm loving that. So now we've got the complete opposite with the next dragon, Karazhan. He's not into magic, but likes to zoom around the battlefield here, it says, and he's getting stuck in with his jaws, those talons, and also using his tail to whip around and hit the enemy. So this is really great, all based on that destructive power. He's into vengeance, and so it's only right that he gets an ability called Fires of Vengeance. Here we go. So we've got Fires of Vengeance, and this is just for Karazhan. Retribution burns blinding and everlasting in Karazhan's eyes. Each time this unit destroys an enemy unit, you can apply the relevant effect below. If the enemy unit was a hero or monster, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons used by this unit for the rest of the battle. If the enemy unit had a wounds characteristic of 3 or more and was not a hero or monster, add 1 to run and charge rolls for this unit for the rest of the battle. And if the enemy had a wounds characteristic of 2 or less, you can heal 1 wound allocated to this unit. So this is nice, and again, nice to have these options depending on who you're fighting and the condition they're in. So really like this, but he's also got another one that he can use, but also Crondis can use this one. So this is both dragons can use the ability called Calamitous Tail Attack. So even if you get Crondis close up, he can do that damage from a distance and with those magic powers, but if he gets up close, he can also use Calamitous Tail, and this has got a range of 3 inches. The attacks we'll find out below. To hit is a 3+, to wound is a 3+, rend is a -2, and damage is 2. And with a sweep of its destructive tail, a Draconith can deliver a killing blow to all those in its path. And for the attack's characteristic of a Calamitous Tail is equal to the number of enemy models within 3 inches of the attacking model. So that covers the updates for the dragons and the Battletome, and again we don't have dates for when either of these are going to be released, but it's got to be soon. We've been seeing previews and updates for a while now for both of these, and also for a lot of the models we saw in the Warhammer reveal for the Dominion when we saw those chariots and everything else for the Stormcast. So I think there's a lot coming, and it even says in one of the articles here that we need to keep checking in for more information about when we can pre-order these dragons and perhaps 1 or 2 other surprises. So there might be even more on the way for these. So yeah, lots to look forward to, I think, if you're a fan of Age of Sigmar and especially Stormcast Eternals. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll keep you updated here with all the news we get for Age of Sigmar, and I'll also be doing another video today where we catch up with the Cruel Boys and find out about that Orruk War Clans Battletome and some other models and things we can do with those big beasts that they're giving us. So looking forward to getting stuck in with that video real soon. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'd be great to see you there.